So I just wanted to make a quick post about why I left eXp and joined Real, just because I've had a couple people reach out to me, and I recognize that it can be a little bit strange where I had a pretty successful thing going on with eXp where I was, one of the top producing agents in the country and had a decent downline of agents under me. So why would I uproot that and move it over to Real? So hopefully this video provides a little bit of clarity on that. I'll do my best to kind of give you the pros and cons of what I thought were with Real and the reasons behind why I switched over ultimately. So back in November, I had an agent reach out to me saying, "Hey, I've got my license. I'm ready to join a brokerage. Are you willing to have coffee with me and just discuss eXp and see if it's the right fit for me?" To which obviously I said, "Yeah, absolutely. Let's grab coffee sometime." What I do before these meetings, though, is I review the eXp company structure. I just want to make sure that I'm up to date with how the company works and that the information that I'm passing on to others is also up to date and correct. So while I was doing that in this particular case, there was something in the revenue share that made me think like, I didn't realize that that's how that worked. And essentially, it was that you just get a little less money than they kind of initially indicate based on the company's profits and if they're making enough money. So it was one of those things where I was like, well, whatever. No big deal. Revenue share is not the reason that I'm in this brokerage. And at the time, it was like, okay, well, that's weird. Oh, well. But it did lead a little question in my head to basically was, hey, I wonder if Real Broker is the same way. So a few days had gone by, and that curiosity was still in my head, where it was, hey, does Real Broker do the same thing with their revenue share? And should I start looking into that just out of curiosity's sake? And Real Broker is a brokerage that obviously I've been familiar with for the last couple of years. They've been around. They've been growing fairly rapidly in Alberta for the last 2 or 3 years. And it's not one of those things where I wanted to look into, quite frankly, because I knew that it was similar to eXp where it had a revenue share model. It was similar to eXp where they gave out stock ownership opportunities for production rewards and other things like that. And it was similar to eXp where it was a cloud brokerage. So it wasn't something that I really wanted to look too deep into because you always have those feelings in your head like, well, what if it's better? And you don't want to find that out when you feel like you're pretty entrenched with eXp. Like that was the horse I chose, and that's what I was going with. So in my head, I knew Real existed. I knew eXp was way bigger. And I always just told myself, hey, if Real ever gets too big, like eXp is just going to take it over. We're going to buy them. We're going to absorb them. We're going to do an aggressive takeover, even though I have no idea how any of that works or what it entails. This is just something I told myself. To where it got to the point where obviously where I am now and starting to look into the company. After doing some quick research online, just taking a look at their splits and fees, the stock ownership, a lot of the stuff that I knew already existed. But when I look into it a little bit deeper, I was like, a lot of this stuff is actually set up, in my opinion, a little bit better than eXp. So from that point, I decided, well, I should probably just talk to someone with Real, make sure that the stuff I'm reading is correct and up to date, and everything that I'm seeing is the truth. So I made an appointment to talk with someone from Real. We had a long conversation that probably spanned 3 hours one day, and it was kind of after that the gears started turning in my head and the ball started rolling. One of the big factors with Real for me was the company code of ethics, specifically towards recruiting. I've always believed in gravitational attraction, that if you do a really good job in real estate first, so helping people buy and sell houses and doing just an awesome job with that if there are other agents out there, they would take notice, and if they wanted to join you, they would. And with Real Broker, their code of ethics and their rules around no recruiting really resonated with me. My group and I worked really hard to shake the notion that eXp was just a recruiting brokerage where recruitment was the first thing, where we worked really hard in our local market. We worked and tried to do the best job as possible in terms of helping people buy and sell real estate, but it always felt like a little bit of an uphill battle in terms of reputation, where you would meet a new realtor and they would ask you, what brokerage are you with, and you would say eXp Realty, and you could just see it in their face like, uh-oh, here comes the pitch as to why eXp is better and we should join. So that was something that I felt like Real Broker didn't really have to deal with joining them. Next is the stock program. I actually really believe in eXp's stock program, and I think that they're doing an awesome job there. I'm not here to trash that program at all. They're actually very similar in Real Broker and eXp, albeit it's actually harder to achieve the stock awards with Real Broker. But at the end of the day, it was just something where, you're still getting a stock award, and you're betting on a company at that point. Like, the stock's not worth anything if the company isn't worth anything. So this one was just a gamble to some degree, saying that, hey, I think that Real's going to be the better off company 10, 20, 30 years from now. And if there's a stock I'm going to own, it should be those ones. Another really strong selling point was that Real Broker has significantly lower fees than eXp. So that at the beginning didn't really matter much to me, but when I was putting myself in some of my other agents' shoes and just thinking about, okay, well, what could these significantly lower fees mean to them? And what could it mean to any other new agents potentially joining in the future? It became obvious to me that Real Broker was the clear winner in terms of what they provided you for the fees they charge, which was significantly lower than eXp's. And then there's quickly the technology portion with, if you're with eXp now, you probably understand that there's 14 or 15 different logins for everywhere you need to go online. And with Real, it all seems to be in one centralized location, which is not really a decision for switching brokerages, but just something that seems really convenient. Next up, we have how Real Broker's revenue share model works. And it is designed in a way that I personally believe a rev share model should work, where you get paid the most amount of money for the agent that you directly sponsor and less money down the line. So if that agent sponsors another agent, you are getting less money for that agent, and you're getting less money for the agents as you get further away from them, which makes sense to me. So when comparing with eXp, they have their tier structures where you get paid a certain amount in tier 1. In tier 2, you actually get paid more money for someone that you didn't directly sponsor, and it kind of goes up and down throughout the tiers right until tier 7, which pays the most amount of money, which I don't understand, because a lot of the time you don't even meet that person who's in your tier 7. You have no idea who they are. You are not involved most of the time with that realtor's development, any mentorship, where with Real Broker, it makes sense to me that as the person gets further away from you, that you make less money on them. I feel in eXp's model, it really encouraged the recruiting aspect of things, where you can potentially make more money off of an agent that someone 3 lines down from you brought in, which to me didn't make sense. It really promoted this multi-level marketing feeling within the company, and I don't agree with it. I think that if you have less contact with someone, that you should get paid less for their development, their mentorship, and Real Broker's revenue share system just makes more sense to me. The last stumbling block for me personally was the tens of thousands of dollars worth of vested shares that I had accumulated with eXp through their stock reward program that I did not have access to yet. So they were vested, and what that means is you hit their production awards, your production achievements, and they award you a chunk of stock. However, it vests for 3 years, meaning that you can't sell it until you've been with the company for 3 years. So I had this large chunk of money sitting there that I did not have access to, but if I were to leave, it meant walking away from that money. So that feels like you're wearing golden handcuffs, essentially. You are stuck with the company because you've worked hard for, in my case, the past 3 years to hit these awards every year and have this bank account that you can see but you don't have access to. And at the end of the day, for me, it really came down to, okay, I believe I'm building the right thing, but in the wrong place. And in order to change that, it's going to be a little bit of upfront pain, immediate pain, i.e. walking away from that group of shares, those stocks I had earned, and starting fresh with Real. And that's just me banking on saying that I think that there's more opportunity for stock growth with their programs. Their stock purchase plan, in my opinion, is stronger than eXp's, and I'm just betting that over the next 20 or 30 years that they're going to have a stronger stock, the company's going to be set up better for success, and this is going to feel like 2 steps back now, but for a lot of steps forward in the future. in summary, I really like eXp. I think that they're an awesome company. I think they're kind of the pioneer of this whole revenue share and stock award brokerage. And probably Real Broker wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for eXp. I think that eXp's model is better than most, where they recognize that the agent is the most important part of a brokerage and they should be rewarded like it more than just a trophy. And for me, Real was just all of that, but a bit better. And on top of that, really aligned with myself as a person. I think that it was just the right place for me to be. And that's kind of what got me to where I am today. So hopefully that explains a few things. If you have any other questions, there's obviously a bit more in-depth stuff than what I've covered in this video. And if you have any questions, I'm an open book, so feel free to reach out.